Fresh anxiety is trailing the November 6 governorship election in Anambra following the worsening state of insecurity in the state. People's Democratic Party flag bearer Valentine Ozigbo temporarily suspended his campaign rallies on Friday, citing the rising spate of killings in the state as reason for the suspension. His All Progressive Congress APC counterpart, Andy Uba, also postponed the flag-off rally for his campaign scheduled for yesterday, Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. Uba, in a statement issued on Friday, said his party would not play politics with people's lives, adding that the decision was taken to honor those killed in recent attacks across the state. There have been several attacks by gunmen in the state over the past week, leading to destruction of properties and killings, including the recent murder of Chike Akinyuli, husband of the late Dora Akinyuli, ex-Minister of Information and Communications. Decrying the dangers of the killings posed to the forthcoming election, National Chairman of African Democratic Congress (ADC), Rafs Oke Uwonsu, told our correspondent that not less than 30 innocent lives have been lost to mindless killings in the state in recent times. In a WhatsApp message he titled Anambra as the Electoral War Front and sent in response to our correspondent's question, Uwonsu said, not less than 30 innocent lives have been lost in Anambra State in what I must say has to do with November 6, 2021 Anambra governorship election. It started with a tragic incident involving two security personnel attached to APGA's Charles Soludo. Since then, many more persons were murdered callously until the massive onslaught of these and penultimate weeks. Most people had attributed the killings to IPOB and their Monday lockdown promulgation. Some pointed fingers at state operatives and the headsmen. But reflecting back to what transpired during the party's primary or candidate selection process of the so-called two major political parties and APGA, the picture seems to be getting clearer. The desperation of members of the ruling parties is painting our democracy in human blood, not to talk of violating of court processes and the judiciary. The APC, PDP, and APGA have brought a new form of Boko Haram to the southeast and the judiciary. When Soludo's security men were killed, everyone thought it to be a plot outside politics, but barely 5 weeks to the election, the war in APGA is still on with Soludo and Governor Obiano unperturbed, while APGA members move in droves to the APC. Within the PDP, the ADC chair regretted that there had been a series of court injunctions and free spree of dollars causing chaos. Some of their heavy war chest contenders have ported to new platforms with their concocted chalice. The APC had settled their primary in hotels not in the wards, as the direct primary process requires. Within the week of the PDP, APC, and APGA primaries, gunmen occupied most of the hotels and roamed the various ward and constituencies in Anambra State. Bullion vans stood by in the banks within the capital city of Awka, doling out money for grand purchase of the entire process. All the war happened within those parties before and during their primaries and made the outcome of their event toxic. Now the toxicity has gone into the larger field of contestation, and the pugency is so corrosive and has consumed about 20 lives in less than 1 week. There's no other way to explain what is happening in Anambra. It is APGA, PDP, and APC, desperados in a dangerous power war of a new sort. He further said, I had listened to Professor Utomi Jega and a host of very erudite others talk about electronic coalition of polls results and the lukewarm attitude of the National Assembly to electoral integrity. More than 98% of the members of the National Assembly are members of the same parties. Electoral integrity means nothing to those who can murder for vote or those who give no hoot to fraudulent emptying of the nation's treasury only because they are in public service. To correctly rejig our democracy rests on all of us, especially those truly pained by how low the nation has sunk under the illusion of democracy. To avoid further bloodshed in Anambra State, the Inspector General of Police, DGs of all the security intelligence agencies, leaders of political parties, and the candidates must hold a summit within the next couple of days. Also, there should be an emergency judicial meeting to take hard and patriotic decisions on APC, PDP, APGA, and all that potters after their primaries. These are the people who are transferring their corrosive culture of win by gun, hook, or crook to the larger environment. INEC has the records and can facilitate the peace. Speaking on the implications of the killings for the forthcoming election, if efforts are not made to resolve the problems, the All Progressive Congress chieftain, Chief Chekwas Okori, said, if it is left to anybody's guess, how can there be an election when nobody is safe to go about? I'm in the southeast as we speak. All the roads that soldiers mounted roadblocks in Igbo land, those soldiers have disappeared because they lack the confidence and capacity to confront the suicidal attackers. These attackers are suicidal. The roads are now empty, leaving all of us to be facing these non-state actors. That the Ohanieze did not do in the Igbo Day celebration on September 29th as planned, that campaign rallies are being suspended is not because of what they are saying, that they are honoring the dead. It is because the place is unsafe. I'm an APC chieftain. Look at the people that are in Andy Uba campaign. Practically all the governors of the APC and all the stalwarts. And it's all expected that either the president or the vice president would have been there today. But who will allow his own relation or wife, or which wife will allow her husband to go to Anambra or any part of Igbo land at this time? If those with all the security details are afraid to come in, what then happens to the ordinary voters? He will stay in his own house on the day of the election. If that happens, INEC has already said if there is no election in Anambra, there will be a constitutional crisis. He, however, expressed optimism that the crisis can be tamed. We can halt this thing. The Niger Delta militancy was handled. We're talking about dousing the tension that is here before talking about the election. The election should be held. If the election does not hold, then Nigeria would have surrendered to non-state actors. That is not to be allowed. But there's something that is making the Southeast difficult to do business or politics, and that itself is the issue of secessionist agitation by the IPOB with its militant wing known as ESN. My suggestion to end that problem is for the government, without further delay, to engage the principal actors of this group in a dialogue. The Southeast Caucus of the National Assembly, led by Ekwere Madu, made a unanimous decision to engage the government in a dialogue that will reduce the tension in the Southeast, or if possible, eliminate it. I urge the President to take advantage of that offer being made. It is on record that no effort has been made before now by the federal government to engage the leaders of the separatist group in a dialogue. This is the time to do it. He further said, the President has already shown tremendous capacity to forgive as a father. He has shown that in many instances, the most recent one being the one of Fani Kayode. If it was possible for someone to use word of mouth to bring down the government, FFK did that. If it was possible to use the word of mouth to destroy Nigeria and disintegrate it, he did all of that, not to talk of personal attack on the first family. Yet the president did not only receive him into Aso Rock, but he gave him a red carpet reception in presidency. I'm confident that he has the capacity to authorize dialogue. Even if he's not going to be directly involved, he can authorize dialogue with a separatist group, namely Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho, that will give him a good legacy of living a less divided Nigeria. Nigeria is almost at the brink of collapse and he can save it. It is an appeal and not an order that I'm making.